Hello and welcome to Aisha's Take on the Headlines. My name is Aisha Yesufu. I'm actually feeling like one reporter, one newscaster kind of thing. But anyway, indulge me. And the first thing we are going to take is about Buhari's regime, or Buhari Osinbajo's government. Please, let's never forget that all the atrocities going on is done by Buhari and Osinbajo. So Buhari Osinbajo's government has actually borrowed, just borrowed 2.02 billion from China. You know what? It's so pathetic. We stay here all the time. Instead of us to do the right thing, we go to our churches and our mosques and our shrines and whatever it is, and we're always praying to God to fix Nigeria, praying to God. Yet we go to people that do not even believe there is God to go and be borrowing money, go and be borrowing technology. Why don't we? Why is it that the money has not landed on our land? We're still we're borrowing, going on to borrow. We've practically borrowed our life of $719.61 million have been used to service debt since 2015. Not to even start paying them, just to start. You know, the interest on the money you have borrowed, that's what we are using. So far, the money we've used to service it is so annoying where we are. Yet government has refused to cut its expenses. Yet we are paying politicians so much. We are wasting money. People are stealing money. These monies aren't even being used judiciously. They are being used anyhow. And then people are stealing them, and it's debts on the nation, on unborn generation. I mean, the child that their parents have not even met. Maybe the child that their parents are still in primary school. They are not even thinking of meeting. They've not marriage is not in their any agenda. They are still kids. Those children will be paying debts that are being borrowed now. Hey, okay. The next one, of course, is they said that farms are deserted. And of course, how would farms be deserted? Farmers are being attacked. We've been shouting about this since 2016. Farmers are being attacked. And farmers are being killed on their farms. So people aren't going to farms. Most of the people that are supposed to be farming, they're actually in IDP camps. And I remember when we used to say this, a lot of attacks. They called us fake news merchants. But you know what is the fake news now? When you go to market and you see that the prices are increasing every day, it's no longer fake news, Abby. That's exactly what we are talking about. What we don't do the right thing at the right time. So IDP camps, our farmers are all there. IDP camps all over the nation. It's really sad. And then APC says no vacancy in Lagos government house. You know what? What about the people? Is that what the people are saying? Because this governor that Lagos State have, I don't know where they brought him from. I mean, Lagos State used to be that model place, especially when it comes to civil rights. People have the right to come out and protest. They will meet their government. I mean, I remember during Bring Back Our Girls movement, where we were being, 2014, we were being chased all over the place in Abuja. We were being attacked. Talks were being brought in by government to attack us and beat us up, and we were being harassed and all of that. But you know, our counterparts in Lagos, they had so much good this thing. They would go there, they would meet with the governor. Even by 2015 and all of that, Lagos State was this bad. This particular governor, Sanwo-Olu, Lagos people, if you not talk to that man, there's no vacancy. Hey, now you people on your own. Sadly, Tegina students are still in captivity, and you know, it's absolute silence. Not much is being said about them. And sometimes I sit there and wonder, this was what many people wanted to happen during Chibok girls, right? So that we will not talk. It's really not fair. And for those who always talk about this Islamization agenda, I'm wondering, Tegina students, they were all taken from Islamia school, so meaning they are all Muslims. They are from the north. Or is Niger not northern enough? They are all from the north, and yet the president hasn't said anything. Nobody is talking about it because there's no religious connotation to be added. There is no tribal connotation to be added, so it's no fun, right? Talking about it. Really, if we continue to keep quiet, it will embolden the criminals to come after us. We've been saying this since 2014. Soyinka warns of looming breakup, recommends decentralization. What? It's been on every election that comes. We always have this. It's going to be breakup. There's going to be that. Military will take over. Election we know who. This, that. But I do agree. We have so much that is going on in the country at the moment, and we need to have that decentralization. We need to have devolved powers. Let the region be more powerful than the center, so that everybody will go and be bearing their father's surname. Inflation, devaluation push millennia away from 20 trillion naira stock market. I mean, it really doesn't make sense if you look at what it is. In 1981, $1 million was about 1.15 million. Sorry, 1 million naira was about $1.15 million. Today, 2021, 1 million naira is about $2,000. And so who do you want to be putting their money in such a place where the world is more or less like a global village now? People can invest in other places. And honestly, for me, one of the mistakes I made in my life was to have all my investments in Nigeria. And I said to people, it's the most foolish thing that you can do. I remember I had opportunities to have invested in UK, in US, in Dubai, but I always felt that why should I go and be buying houses in those places and you know, for people to rent and all of that when my people need houses? But guess what? It was the most foolish decision, because right now the money has just gone down the drain in terms of the value of that money. Then the Emir of Zazzau comes here and he says that we are at the mercy of kidnappers. He's crying out that people in Zaria are at the mercy of the kidnapper. Well, the Emir of Zazzau, the government does only understands one language, and that's protest. And unless you come to Abuja with your people to tell them that enough is enough, they need to secure your people, I'm sorry, it's going to be altered. But then I see there's this fear that the government has of people getting angry, especially in the Northwest, and they'll be going around, you know, talking about the fact that, oh, protest is haram in Islam and all of that. Really? Is this the kind of leadership that is expected in Islam? In Islam, leaders are supposed to go amongst people and find out what they're doing, whether their leadership is working very well for the people. When last did this your government come amongst the people to fight all of this? And also in Islam, we are asked to speak against injustice. We are asked to speak against tyranny, whether it involves our parents, our leaders, or even ourselves. So this brand of Islam that is being put around, I don't know where it comes from. The hypocrisy of it was that during Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, he wasn't a Muslim. We didn't hear all of these protests is haram. But now because a Muslim is there, the hypocrisy, everyone is talking about protests is haram. Anyway, let me round up today's Aisha's take on the headlines by talking about Delta women who have attacked a pastor for speaking ill of TB Joshua. I do absolutely understand that we do, as Africans, we are told we shouldn't speak ill of the dead. And I don't know what's this beef. I don't follow it. I don't know what's the beef between TB Joshua and other pastors. And I think there's so much competitiveness amongst this pastor. Well, the more folk you have, the more money you have. Of course, when it comes to business, there's always that, you know, competitiveness. But then, for me, it's this. Nigerians, we fight for God and leave our fight to God. When it comes to religion is our mumu, but we carry it on our head like say we no get head. We are always fighting. But fight for our rights, fight for things to be good for us. We will leave it to God. We will now be praying to God to make the things happen. We need to get that set mental and get our heads together. Religion is private. Let everybody, whatever they believe in, let it be. So at the end of the day, we are not going to be buried in the same grave. Even if you're buried in the same grave, you're not going to face God at the same time. Everybody's going to face God in his own way. Moreover, there are people who do not even believe in God. That's their own personal business. Everyone, you have a right to believe what you want to believe or not to believe what you want to believe. Until tomorrow, this is Aisha's take on the headlines. Bye.